Today, we're speaking with Geert van Alem, co-founder and CEO of UPyTher, a company focused in developing innovative targeted therapies for cancer. In this interview, Geert will share insights into UPyTher's mission, their technology, and their journey in securing funding to advance their work. He'll also discuss their experience at RESI and how connecting with investors is shaping the company's path. Well, so let's begin by, if you could tell us about your company and the innovation behind your technology and basically what inspired the development of it.
Yeah, so what UPyTher does is we develop a new generation of innovative therapeutics for the treatment of patients with peritoneal cancers. We have our own technology developed that allows therapeutics to be effectively delivered and retained within the intraperitoneal cavity. It's local sustained delivery of, in our case, chemotherapeutics, but it's a platform that can be loaded with different types. And it's entirely optimized to the peritoneal cavity. And this is a class of therapeutics that does not exist at the moment. Therefore, these patients are now dependent on the off-label use of existing therapeutic products, which are not suitable for use intraperitoneally. So these cancers often, as the result from spreading from a primary tumor, such as the colon, the stomach, or the ovaries, actually, in that case, they are quite common. So it's a cancer type, peritoneal cancer, that is unknown to people. But 75% of the women, for example, 3 out of 4, at the diagnosis of ovarian cancer, they have already spreading to the peritoneal cavity. And once the cancer has spread to this location, the treatment options become very limited. And that's simply due to the fact that there are no therapeutic products that are optimized for a local approach. We started with this already 5 or 6 years ago when we were approached by a surgical oncologist from a nearby hospital who was actually looking for a method that he could effectively locally treat these patients, because the way he's doing this now is a combination of very aggressive surgery combined with a short 1.5-hour rinse of high-dosed heated chemotherapeutics. We do make progress, but still these patients come back within 1.5 years, and that's mainly due because we are not allowed to effectively treat those smaller tumor lesions and kill them all. So we need products that remain longer in there. And that's actually what we provided. Our therapeutics are applied in the form of a gel. So you can infuse them directly in the peritoneal space where they then spread. They transform from a liquid into a soft gel film that contains the therapeutic active ingredient, which is then maintained for a prolonged period of time in the peritoneal cavity. So it increases both the exposure, the residence time, and thereby the exposure, and also the contact between the therapeutic and the tumor lesions, making local treatment much more effective.
What inspired this? How did you get here in the first place?
What inspired us was actually a personal case. One of my best friends called me and told me that his mom was diagnosed with colon cancer, that I thought the obvious first question is, can she be treated? And then I learned that this depends actually on the question, where does the cancer spread? The fact that in her case, it has spread to the peritoneal cavity, that made the difference between treatment options and survival of few years or even cure. But in her case, the peritoneal cavity was involved, and this means limited to no treatment options, and eventually she died within 4 months. And this is simply because for this area, there are no treatment options. It's all clinicians that try with suboptimal products that are simply not suitable. And when we met this surgical oncologist, this made a lot of sense to go in there, because then you don't only have the clinical need from the patient side, but also from the clinician who actually acknowledge the existence of this problem.
Tell me about when did you all begin, and tell me about what stage your company is currently in and what is your next milestone you're looking towards.
Yeah, so we are currently preclinical stage. We have now finalized our preclinical proof of concept, including pharmacokinetic and efficacy. We are now moving towards finalizing the preclinical stage with the pivotal GLP tox studies. and then go to our first milestone, which will be a CTA filing to start first in human in 2026. So that's what we are working on. And that's all why we attended RESI, because we're now raising. In 5 years, we hope to be able to conclude first in human trials, so that effectively showed in a clinical setting the benefit of our products using our gel platform as a formulation platform, that this truly makes a huge difference in terms of therapeutic efficacy. So with our showcase, the first is focused on peritoneal cancers that originate from colon cancer, but we have a second product on the way from ovarian cancer as well. So those two, with this clinical proof, so to say, also open up the way for this completely new market for peritoneal oncology products, where we see a lot of opportunities also for instance, the new therapeutic entities like the RNA therapeutics, but also immune oncology, where we are working on. But this is still work that needs some more R&D on that. But with the first clinical results on our lead programs, we paved the way for this completely new market to introduce these new chemical entities that are now being explored by huge pharmaceutical industry as well.
What kind of competition do you have in the market?
There are currently no products that are registered for intraperitoneal use. We describe our competition always a little bit as twofold. A lot of the innovation, or actually all the innovation, happens within the medical centers. So it's physicians that come up with new techniques to get the therapeutics in there. But all those techniques are still experimental, except for the HIPEC treatment, which is not worldwide accepted as standard of care. But everything else, like spraying of chemotherapeutics, which is the PIPEC, it's all experimental. So that's one hand. And on the other hand, the competition comes from companies that also look into drug delivery methods, such as nanoparticle formulation of therapeutics, or even the nanoparticles that can lead to local irradiation. So those are also efforts that actually underscore the huge unmet need that there is in this area. Although we see that these companies are often still quite small, also startups, preclinical or early clinical stage. So for us, it's a sign that there is a need, but it's still early. So the field is evolving.
What does your team look like? Like, what's the size of your team? And
yeah, we are currently with a team of 3, with support from medical advisors, but also material scientists and biotech veterans. That's the additional support. But that's mainly because we do a lot of the work. We outsource that to third parties because we need the preclinical, large animals, small animals. So we work a lot with CROs, CDMOs, working on the formulation development at the moment. The core team is very small. But we have a lot of affiliated companies working with us on this. We are planning to expand the team with a CMO, an expert on CMC, in the coming months.
This was, I believe, your first time attending a RESI conference?
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
And how did you get involved in the Innovators Pitch Challenge in the first place?
How did I get involved? Well, actually, it's the right time for us. And I think the audience there is spot on for us. So early stage investors. I think we on a business trip to the US, Boston, and Canada, Toronto, in October this year.
Oh, okay, great.
And there they pointed us towards the RESI conferences. And the first that came up was the one in London. For us, made sense to start our fundraise there in front of an audience that actually targets the early stage companies that we consider we still are.
Oh, wow. So that was your beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Indeed, I think that made perfect sense. And then I noticed online that you could sign up for the pitch contest, and I was very happy with Greg supporting me, because I was last minute. He made it work on the last day. So
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't realize that. And can you tell me about, your experience in pitching, and then also the feedback or questions you received from the investor judges?
The pitching itself was a very nice experience also, because I did a lot of pitches before, but it's always, if you start a new fundraise, you need to see if your story is compelling enough that it sticks.
Sure.
But we were fortunate enough that one of the investors that was in the panel, very familiar with the field that we are active in the peritoneal oncology, just from one of their own portfolio companies. We were also able to speak a little bit more on our strategy. They were very open to provide us feedback based on what they see for the field and their own experiences there. That was very helpful for us
That's
indeed.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. And then, what did you think about the rest of the conference? Like, were you able to take advantage of going to some of the other investor panels? Were they relevant to your technology? And did you get to do some networking there, partnering meetings? How did that all work out for you?
Yeah, for sure. The other pitching meetings, I went to the medical devices, also because there was actually one company in the peritoneal oncology field, which is I never heard of them, and it's an extremely small field, so I was surprised to see them there. So they're very close by, so it's good to connect them. To be honest, the partnering on site, I would have expected the RESI conference to be a little bit larger in terms of how many people would be there, because the most responses I got were virtual meetings afterwards.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so RESI London was what we called it our 49.5 conference because it was kind of like a RESI light. It was a little bit of a different one since it's our first time in the market and things like
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah,
Genesis
I
was going
heard.
on at the same time. So I hope you get to come to a full RESI. We're gearing up for JPM in San Francisco, and we'll
I
probably
signed
have.
up for that one.
Oh, you're coming?
Yeah, I'm coming. So
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful. So there'll be almost 1,000 people. It'll be very different.
yeah. So that's what I was hoping for because
Yes, yes,
yeah. So but I think for a starter, it was very good, and now I can introduce myself as a RESI London winner. So it's a
yes,
good for
exactly,
JPM, huh? So
exactly. Oh, that's wonderful. You guys are coming. We'll see you there. And I to say again, congratulations on your third place winner, particularly at your first Resi. That's really wonderful. And I guess the last question I'll ask you is, what advice would you give to other early stage companies considering Resi or the conference for the first time?
I think it's a very, at least the RESI London, because it is so rather small, it's a smaller company, but it makes it very effective in a way that you can get to speak to a lot of people in a very easy way. And I think for a very young company, getting feedback is very important. And that happens the best through interaction with others. And therefore, I think the smaller scale is actually perfect. So if you know where to go and you really need to target specific investors, then I think you need more volume and then the full Resi experience. I'm looking forward to that because I can really target those and I hope to speak to as much as possible. But if you're
Certainly.
really a startup or a small company doing the funding for the first time and you're completely new to this, I find the Resi a very friendly but still very effective and professional environment to start with.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I'm glad to hear that your feedback and your pitch challenge was valuable because they are curated investor judges for your indication. So it's helpful to pitch to people that you would be pitching to in real time. So that's great. Well, here it was really nice to learn about your company and talk to you today. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us.